The following audio may contain the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.
Hey, good evening, everybody. I am certified OPTAVIA coach Jared Smithson, coming to you from Utah tonight. A little brisk here. Hope you guys are warmer than we are. Okay, so I just wanted to share. I read across this quote, probably 6 months ago or so, and it was such a powerful read for me. That we talk a lot about our goals in life, and as we enter a new year, a lot of people are in this mode of setting their goals. And we in OPTAVIA, we're not just focusing on setting goals, but we're focused on getting goals. How many of you have ever set a New Year's resolution before that you're done with that resolution by 3 to 6 weeks into the year? I know that I have been in my life, and during that process, it can be really defeating. So we want to help people get their goals, not only set their goals. The ultimate goal in life is to become the best person that we can. But our immediate goal, this is so powerful to me. Our immediate goal is simply to get on the path to get us there. So we're going to talk about what that path looks like tonight. And but first of all, I always want to welcome the people who are on with us for the first time, and every time. You're all such a powerful, invaluable addition to our health family. But our health family started almost 20 years ago now with our incredible leader, Dr. Wayne Scott Anderson. And in his life at the time, he was really a pioneer in the world of critical care. And he was living a life of fulfillment and success, really thriving for a great deal of time. But sometimes in our life, things happen that change how we feel about really the same thing that we've been living for a while, right? Well, Dr. Anderson's life changed from when he first went into medicine, and he was single, and he was important, and he did incredibly valuable work. And then his life changed, and he married his incredibly beautiful, wonderful wife, Lori, and they had 2 beautiful little girls. And he was home. He was away from home way too much. And he also recognized something else, that in his work, he was catching bodies as they were floating downstream. He wanted to help people create health, not just simply react to disease. And he knew that he was in the wrong place. So nearly 20 years ago now, coming up on 20 years, he stepped out of the medical world, the traditional medical world, and moved upstream and created OPTAVIA. And I'm so grateful that he stepped out of his comfort zone and did that, and took a huge, huge risk. Because I have often, over the last 10 years that I've been a certified OPTAVIA coach, I've often said, man, am I willing to do that? What risks am I willing to do to make all of my dreams come true and really live my life with that amount of purpose? So Dr. Anderson says this all the time. In order to truly be healthy, you have to make the decision that health is a priority. Our company has impacted the lives, and Dr. Anderson has impacted the lives of more than 1 million people. The purpose of our company is to help people live optimally healthy lives. And we're going to get into the details of that. But at a foundational level, remember in Alice in Wonderland, Alice in Wonderland, Alice comes to that split in the road, and there's the Cheshire Cat. And she asks the cat which road she should take, right? And what was the cat's response? Well, the cat asked a question, a really good question. Well, where do you want to go? And she's like, I don't know. And the cat's response was, well, if you don't know where you're going, then any road will do. So when we make decisions in life, and tonight we're talking about health, and really everything in life is going to include our health, whether we're able to do it or whether we have enough energy to do it. We have to know what we want. And these are 4 questions that I love to ask myself on a repeated basis, and also ask my clients and the coaches that I work with. Do you know what you want? Do you have a vision of what that looks like? Do you know why you want it? What are the emotions that are attached to that thing that you want? Do you know how you're going to get it? And the last one is a huge one. Do you know who is going to help you? That's why OPTAVIA is so powerful, because we're here to help each other get what we want. It's a very reciprocal relationship. So just real quickly, I want to share my story. And my story, just about a week ago, impacted me more than it has in the last decade. Because one of the coaches on my team shared my before and after picture, the one that's on your right, just last week. And the very first comment that coach received on her post, just sharing that she knew me and I was one of her mentors, and she just wanted to share my story to provide hope for some people out there on social media. The first response was, oh, well, I know several of you coaches, OPTAVIA coaches, and you post these before and after pictures, and it's just vanity. And my initial response was, wow, that kind of hurts, right? And I responded to it and I said, you know what? I wish I could show you the picture of my emotions and my mindset now, the before and after. The reason that I added the picture on the left for tonight's presentation is because the picture on the far left was my wife Amber and I 10 years ago in Kona, Hawaii for our 10th anniversary. And while we were in Kona that week, we decided the picture of me on the right, the left-right picture is me 2 days after we returned from that trip in Kona, Hawaii for our 10th anniversary. The new picture on the left of my wife and I was just about 3 weeks ago on our 20th anniversary, again in Kona. We made a decision while we were there on our 10th anniversary to start OPTAVIA the week after we got back. I needed to lose another 25 pounds, and we had a whole lot going on in our lives that we weren't very comfortable with. And I knew that we needed to grow. In the last 10 years, I don't have a picture of how our lives have changed, because you can't take a picture of it. My life is completely different. I think about stress and anxiety and challenges in life in a completely different way. The world and everything happening in the world is happening for me now rather than to me. So this is what my wife and I did when we got back from our 10th anniversary trip, that, by the way, we could not afford. Our 20th anniversary trip, we could completely afford. But we made a real decision. Tony Robbins says this: a real decision is measured by the fact that you've taken new action. If there is no action, you haven't truly decided. So if you are in this space tonight, I would challenge you to really decide what it is that you want, why you want it, how you're going to get it, and who's going to help you. Don't leave out any of those 4 steps. How many of you have ever heard people talk about holistic health? Whenever people talk about holistic health, to me, they always talk about organic foods, and they talk about really it's food or natural products. But that's not holistic at all. Holistic health looks at the whole person. Are you getting the right nutrition that you need? Are you getting all of your human needs met? If any of you have ever heard of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I graduated in social sciences, so I'm a social science nerd. All humans have a huge range of needs. Most people, when they say, I have everything I need, they're talking about their basic needs, physiological needs and safety needs. Things like food, water, shelter, a safe environment, a job, things like that. They don't often look, or they're not speaking to the needs that they have to feel connection with people and groups. They're not talking about their need as a human being to serve a higher purpose, to contribute more to their communities and society. Because when we're functioning at a low level, at a subsistence level, just trying to meet our everyday needs, it's hard for us to think about those higher needs. It's hard to think about our health in a holistic manner. So we focus on all areas of health. How many of you have ever seen a tree like this? There's not a whole lot that can be done to save a tree. Luckily, humans aren't trees. Okay? But the way to save a tree from becoming like this is to stake it when it's very young. Just little low-test twine will prevent a tree from growing sideways like this and eventually becoming so weak that it can't support itself. Those 4 components for OPTAVIA are the habits of health, having your OPTAVIA coach, being part of a bigger community, and also our fuelings, which are so critical to the process. So the habits of health, we talk about not just how to feed your body or how to exercise. We talk about all of the aspects that are playing into our health as a whole. I want to bring on a good friend of mine, Julia Olson from Colorado, and she's been a good friend of ours for several years now, but I wanted her to share her story as well as her daughter's story because we've just loved them for so long, and it's very, very powerful. Are you there,
Okay.
Julia? Awesome.
Yep, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. So I love what you said about getting on the path and about action. I'm going to be emotional here because my story really made Jared will laugh and cry with me. I love him. But my story has a lot about that, about getting on the path, about taking action, and it's dear to my heart. So bear with me. But my story started about 8 years ago. I was 30 pounds overweight. I had just had my 4th baby. I was exhausted, tired, and I signed up and did the Nursing Moms program, and I was thrilled that I didn't gain 10 pounds and that I lost 30 pounds in 3 months. I was just over the top. And after I kept it off for a year, really just by following the principles of the program, by focusing on the basic habits of health, I realized, gosh, I need to pay it forward and become a coach, because if this blessed me, it's going to bless others. So I really began kind of as a I wanted to help other people. And part of the reason, and one of the people I wanted to help, if you see in my picture here, my oldest daughter, she's 13 now. and she has Down syndrome. About 7 years ago, when I started coaching, I thought in the back of my mind, oh, I should help Brooklyn. I should help Brooklyn. I could see that, and I know kids with Down syndrome have a propensity for weight gain, and I could see that path happening, and she would sit down and eat a whole loaf of bread, literally. At some point in this journey, we decided to put a lock on our cupboard and a lock on our fridge, just to kind of put a barrier between her and her just action that she would just go and do. And so that was about the extent of the effort. Other than I began, after I lost my weight and focusing on the habits of health, I started to feed my family a little better. We had lean and green meals every night as a family, almost without exception. And so, and I, tried to teach my kids and talk to them about making healthy choices and about eating food that makes you feel good. But for 7 years, I thought in the back of my mind, I should help Brooklyn. And she kept gaining weight and kept gaining weight. And this year she turned 13, and I said, it's time. It's time to do it. And the reason I didn't ever start her on a serious weight loss program was because of fear. And how many of us hold back and don't get on the path and don't take action because we're afraid? I was afraid it wouldn't work. I was afraid she would fight me. I was afraid I would give up and it'd be too hard. I was afraid of a lot of things. And once I came to grips with that and decided, hey, she's a teenager now, and it's never a better time than now, I'm going to do it. So I called my sister, who's her auntie, Jen Walker, and I said, you need to be Brooklyn's health coach, because I didn't want to play health coach. I wanted to be a mom. So she's had some great support set up, and we do Marco Polos, and it's so much fun to help her. And we really just started back to the basics. I said, okay, Brooklyn, we're going to eat every 3 hours. It's going to be so great. You get to eat during gym class, and you get to eat during science class. And I called her teachers, and I said, hey, Brooklyn's going to eat a bar and a shake in your class. And I stopped school lunch because unfortunately that wasn't going to work for her. And so every day I pack her a school lunch or a lunch, and it's almost the same thing every day. Chicken, breast, some salad, and she always says, only a little lettuce. And she kind of fights me about the tomatoes, but she ends up eating it all. And she loves the cottage cheese. So we just keep it simple, and we do the same thing over and over. And I think having those habits and those routines really, really helps. And then, we talk about eating, drinking a lot of water and getting exercise. And it's really fun when at dinner time, she might say something like, I want just a half of a tortilla. And I say, okay, you can have half of a tortilla. Whereas before she'd probably have eaten 3 or 4. So I just think it's super fun. And then, we always eat lean and green dinners as a family. And then right before she goes to bed, we treat her with a special brownie. I have to say, I am so grateful for this program. I could never do it without it. The basics of creating healthy habits, the simplicity of it, and the amazing feelings that we have. The fact that Brooklyn can have brownies, she can have bars, and all these great things that make it so easy and doable. And I always tell myself, gosh, if Brooklyn can do this, anybody can do this. I mean, she's a teenager, first of all, and then she's got another barrier there, which is her Down syndrome, but she really is a fighter. And the picture there of her Barbie doll was her first goal that she earned after reaching her 10-pound loss. So we're so proud of her. She started right at the holiday time. Once again, excuse goes out the door. You can't, no excuses, right? She's lost 10 pounds already, and her next big goal is a movie night with mom. So it's going to be fun. And I just want to share with you guys that I really believe that anybody can, if we set goals and get on the path and take action, we really can achieve what we're looking for. And I would add to that longevity and just a desire to continue. And when we eat a half of a tortilla or something that's less healthy, it's okay. Just continue and eat something healthy next and keep going. And just, I believe that the structure and the support and the simplicity of what you set up around yourself can make a huge difference. So thanks. That's about all I had to share, but thanks so much.
So awesome. Thank you, Julia. And thanks for sharing Brooklyn's story. She is such a sweetheart, and we love seeing her smile that when Julia posted that Barbie picture last week, I'm like, Julia, you have to share this story on the Habits of Health call. So having an OPTAVIA coach, and I love that Julia stepped aside for her daughter and said, you know what? Aunt Jen is going to be your coach, so that she could just be mom, so she could be have even more support there. But your OPTAVIA coach is not here as the food police or the behavior police or anything like that. They're your co-pilot. How many of you have ever taken a road trip by yourself? I have. Yeah, you'd blast the radio and you sing terribly, probably, like me, but it's not as fun as having someone there to be along. And it's a little bit safer to have a co-pilot too, because they can work the GPS and they can text and stuff while you shouldn't be doing that stuff. So they just match you to a plan. They help remind you of what your goals were sometimes when those challenges hit you. So just a few other pictures of people who have changed their lives. I love this, this quote by Helen Keller. If there's anybody that could say this more powerfully, I would love to meet them. But I think she's as good of an example as you can get. Be happy with what you have while you're working for what you want. Enjoy the journey. Your happiness is not going to come when you cross the finish line. When your inanimate object, the scale, tells you that you're a magical weight. It's not going to increase your worth as an individual. It's not going to increase your happiness or your fulfillment. Enjoy the journey. Learn and soak in all the habits that because your true fulfillment and confidence are going to come from you developing the skills and the sense of accomplishment, and that you are disciplined and controlled. So fueling your body. Julia talked about those easy, thank goodness for the brownies, right? That even Brooklyn can enjoy a brownie before she goes to bed and have a treat. But David Jenkins, in chapter 8 of the Habits of Health, Dr. Anderson talks about this study that was done at University of Toronto. 3 versus 6 meals. Same calories eaten, same foods eaten, but those who broke them into 6 meals rather than 3 traditionals, they lost more weight, they were less hungry, and they reduced their cholesterol and blood insulin. It's the healthiest way to eat. And it's long-term sustainable. We all know how we feel. Maybe you guys don't, but I remember how I felt when I was trying to come up from the low blood sugar, and then I ate too much sugar and my blood sugar went the other way, and then you get the sugar shakes, and you start Googling everything, like what's going on with my body. If you treat it the right way, then it works. Fueling your body, we make it super simple. You focus on your lean and green, follow your OPTAVIA guide. If you don't know what your OPTAVIA guide is, reach out to your OPTAVIA coach and they can make sure that you have that guide in your hands so that you're getting the best results while you're in your weight loss phase. The other 5 meals, depending, and I'm talking about the 5-in-1 plan here, because a large portion of our clients start on the 5-in-1 plan if they're in that weight loss phase. Your other 5 meals are ready to go. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, I don't know if I want to do that. My response is, do you use laundry machines? Or do you still use the washboard? Do you drive a car or do you still do the horse and buggy? They're just tools. They make life more efficient, and quite frankly, they make them a lot more enjoyable because you can still have a brownie. So they're the secret weapon. Community. I brought on another friend of mine, Steph Whiting, who just joined our community a couple years ago to share her story about community and what it's meant to her as part of this health process to be part of something bigger than herself.
Thank you, Jared. Gosh, it's hard to go back to how you felt in the past, you know, the old you, when so much has changed. But, you know, my story really is that I was going through some pretty hard trials in my life. And I learned this from Jared. But what happens when we're going through hard stuff is we tend to isolate ourselves. And that is certainly something that I was doing. I had a husband who was an alcoholic. He was in recovery, but it was so fresh. And I just didn't have a lot of people to talk to about it. You know, I found my health coach. I was at my personal low and I was just so hopeless. I had been exercising, trying so hard to get this weight off and nothing would happen. And, you know, I kind of got on board. When I say kind of, I didn't really think it would work for me. So I kind of got on board and it turns out the program worked perfectly. I remember my first month was just such a great experience, and I was really working closely with my health coach, and I was really nailing my food. And I thought, I am rocking this. And then, you know, I went out of town and they say like the winds of life blow. Remember the tree with the stakes? The winds of life kind of blew a little bit, and I really kind of just fell off my eating plan. And my coach checked back in and said, hey, how are things going? And I said, you know, not so great. I'm actually really struggling. And she said, may I suggest you start working with the community, because it is such an important piece of the puzzle. And it was something I didn't think I needed, but it turns out it was the thing I needed the most. I surrounded myself with like-minded people and people that really were on the same journey with me, going through the same hard things, and it really, really supported me. And I think for me, the thing that helped the most was I feel like I'm a natural cheerleader. Like I love to cheer people on. It makes me feel great and I do better. And so it was so fun to hop in the community and start to just, you know, say, way to go, high five, like throw up a emoji and like, I'm really proud of you. And then it turns out, you know, when I was cheering somebody else on, it made me feel better. And so this community started really being a really big piece of the puzzle for me. I dove into it and I felt like on our client pages, if people will plug into those client pages, what happens is they just start coaching each other. And I feel like a lot of magic happens there, because you've got someone who is a week on plan, and then you've got a brand new person, and the brand new person will ask a question, and then your brand new person that's only been doing it a week can hop in and answer. So, you know, you've got people naturally starting to coach. And if you're a coach, you can kind of put on your coaching goggles and say, hey, that person loves coaching. I'm going to reach out to them and tell them what a great job they're doing. And, you know, have you ever thought about helping somebody? So I do that a lot in our community. I kind of notice who's a cheerleader and who's in there participating and helping. And I know if it wasn't for the community and beginning to coach on my own on my last 10 pounds, I would have never made it to my goal. So I really am a firm believer in the 4 parts of the program. We need them all to grow that strong, solid foundation for our health. And I need them more than ever in maintenance. The community continues to support me. And I find that when people are sharing good news, it relights my fire, because we still struggle and the winds of life still blow, but brand new people coming on and having success always relights my fire. So thanks so much for letting me share, Jared.
Thanks, Steph. Steph has been such a valuable part of our community. And like she said, she's a cheerleader. Like she's cheering everybody on. And I encourage you guys to stick around for the next half hour. David Bush is going to take over, and he's going to talk about the benefits of health coaching. But just to wrap it up for me, I've learned something really, really valuable over the last decade of being part of this community. And that is this. It's kind of a deep thought sometimes, that we do everything in our lives at the level of anxiety that we can tolerate. So sometimes we reach up against those moments and you're like, man, I'm really uncomfortable. It's called our comfort zone, right? That's why they call it comfort food, right? So when you get to that place, reach out to your OPTAVIA coach, to the person who invited you tonight, to the person that's been helping you, and make this plan. Do it, make a plan to do it right, and make a plan to do it right now. Push through that discomfort, and you will gain the skills of dealing with that anxiety and stress, and you'll actually start to live a life of peace. So thanks for having me tonight.
This audio may have contained the personal testimonials of some OPTAVIA coaches or clients of OPTAVIA. The results relayed in these messages are based on the unique experiences of the participants, and we cannot guarantee like or similar outcomes. While you may be inspired by these accounts, please note that any stories of success have not been verified and your individual path to optimal health will vary. As always, it is our recommendation that you consult with a healthcare provider before starting a weight loss program. Yours in health, the OPTAVIA team.